What's up guys, Everything Apple Pro here, and in this video I'm going to be comparing Android L or Lollipop to Apple's iOS 8 firmware. So this is a follow-up to a video I never got to finish. I did compare the Samsung Galaxy S5 earlier to the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, however, I just never got a chance to compare the actual software. So well, now I'm going to be showing you the main differences between Android and iOS. Now I know some of my watchers are debating, should I switch over to Android, should I buy an iPhone or an Android phone? And this video is going to highlight some of the good points from each software. Now, there is one thing I'd like to know. The Samsung Galaxy S5 comes with a TouchWiz user interface. It's not the stock Lollipop experience. In fact, it's extremely rare to find a device with an unadulterated version of Android. So I just want to let you know I'm comparing the Samsung TouchWiz user interface. However, most of the fundamental features are still there regardless of the UI. Now, the iPhone is running iOS 8.1.3, the newest version, which is shared across all platforms, and there are several more updates coming in the future, 8.2, 8.3, and iOS 9 eventually. Now, the lock screen being the very first thing we see when we turn our devices on, both devices have very simple, neat lock screens, the iPhone being a little bit more on the simple side, Android one having some nice animations, and then we're greeted with the page view. Now, it's a very similar interface. However, on the Android device, you can customize a lot more when it comes to pages and animations than on the iPhone. So if I do this real quick and pinch in, as you can see, I can change a lot of the pages, a lot of what we see on them, widgets, and we'll get more into that in a bit. However, on the iPhone, you do have to hold an application to move it around to create a new page. You got to drag it. Both user-friendly when it comes to manipulating apps and pages. It's just on the Android version, you have a little bit more flexibility. Now, one of the major changes in Lollipop's update was the fluidity. It's a lot more fluid. I mean, Apple has always been known for how well everything opens. The animations are very nice and fluid, but on Android, it's always been a little bit behind. Well, Lollipop really catches up. It does very well closing, opening applications. There's definitely a lot more attention to detail on Lollipop, and not only that, but all of the icons have been flattened, so it really looks a lot like iOS 8. The depth has been removed and it's more flat. However, while using Android, you'll notice that it definitely has gotten better. Things just feel right. It's more liquid. It's really hard for me to describe it, but when you do use it, you definitely will notice it. Now, both Android and iOS handle notifications in a very similar manner. So they come in this bar view on your lock screen and you can just slide them out of the way on Android, whereas on iOS, it's a little bit different. If you slide on it, one way it'll open up the application, the other way you can delete it. It's actually really similar, but this is pretty much where the similarities end. The iPhone is definitely in the losing game when it comes to customizability. Android has always been known for its extreme customizability. Not only can you install widgets on your home screen, if you don't like the look of a certain aspect of your device, just install a new one from the App Store. Whereas on the iPhone, Apple is definitely making steps in a correct direction, just very, very slow ones. They've added widgets to the notification center. You can customize keyboards by downloading third-party ones and add third-party filters to the photos, but it still leagues behind Android's true customizability. For example, here's the stock Android launcher. Now I just installed the new one because I didn't like this one. Absolutely free, and it completely changes the look of your device. While true, you can jailbreak to achieve a very similar look, it's not possible on a stock firmware, which is what this video is pretty much about. When it comes to accessing toggles, each OS has a different solution. So Apple has Control Center, which we're all familiar with, and Android has its own system. If you drag down from the screen with 2 fingers, it'll bring up the complete toggle view. And wow, that is extensive. Whereas the Apple's Control Center, it's nice to have, it's just not as extensive as Android's. I'd also like to know if you drag down with 1 finger, it just brings down a mini Control Center with your notifications, whereas notification view on iPhone looks just like that. The app switcher on both devices is very simple, easy to use. The one on the iPhone reminds me of way back in the day from the Palm Pre, and the Lollipop's one is very fluid, just a card view. It reminds me a lot of Safari tab view. You know, both simple, both accomplished switching between apps. However, the Android is closer to true multitasking. Each application is still running in the background, just in a dormant mode, whereas the Apple one, it completely stops the process. It's not true multitasking. And I'd like to point out that killing all of the apps on Android is so much simpler. Man, it's such a pain on Apple. I wish they would just add one button to clear everything right away. For the uninitiated, settings could be a little bit challenging on Android to understand because Apple does a very good job of putting it into sections of where you can find them. However, Android is very, very detailed with all of their settings, and that is a good thing because you can ultimately get more control over all of the features on your device. Now, one of the things that Apple does that really doesn't make sense is putting features that belong together in random areas. See, here's display and brightness. Auto screen shutoff should be there. However, it's completely in a different area. I mean, what's up with that, Apple? But a nice feature iOS has that I really like is the slide to go back, where it's not available on Android. However, of course, you do have the back button to press, but it's just a really nice feature integrated into iOS. You can just slide back and go back. Now, this is a test between Siri and Google Now, your personal assistant, seeing how they can keep up and how fast they are. Showtimes for American Sniper.
American Sniper is playing at Cinetopia 23 and 14 other theaters near.
Definitely a step ahead for Google Now, a little bit faster. What does poison ivy look like?
According to American Academy of Dermatology, poison ivy, tips for treating and preventing a rash from poison ivy, poison oak.
So Google Now definitely gives me a lot more detail there. What is the purpose of life?
According to Mormon.org, your life has a divine purpose. God, your heavenly Father, He is prepared.
Oh my gosh. Set an alarm for 8:35 a.m.
Setting alarm for 8:35 a.m.
I mean, you guys can see they do very well. They're both very quick. I have no complaints. What's good to eat in Portland, Oregon?
Searching. I found a lot of restaurants in Portland, Oregon.
So whereas Google Now gives you results from Google, you actually get the stores here inside of Siri. So that's definitely a nice little touch. Now, both of these assistants do very well. Like I said, I have no issues with them. However, the more diverse you get with your questions, of course, you will see a difference between Siri and Google Now. When it comes to browsers, there is certainly a difference. So on iOS, something as simple as opening a new tab happens a lot quicker than on Android. I mean, why is there such a slow animation to open up the tab view, which is kind of ridiculous for Android? Performance is great for both of them. I mean, I have no complaints. However, it does have a lot to do with the processing power on your device and, of course, the browser optimization when it comes to Java and loading stuff. So I'm just going to load a website real quick at the same time. Both do well, and of course, if you don't like them, you can always install a third-party browser. Nice touch to Android is when you actually hit the top of a page, you get that nice animation that tells you did so. On iPhone, you just get this rubber band bounce, which can get annoying. Now, to scroll on each device, you definitely have to use more finger on the iPhone. You just flick once on Android and you're there at the top. On iPhone, you gotta flick several times. That's just something interesting I thought I'd know. I couldn't put a folder inside of a folder on Android without installing a third-party app, whereas on the iPhone it was possible with a glitch, which I think was pretty cool. Now let's take a look at the app stores on both. Now, Android has done a lot of catching up. iOS has always been ahead in the raw amount of apps on the App Store, whereas on Android there have always been a little bit less. And the one thing I don't like about Android apps is that compatibility isn't guaranteed with all devices. Now, of course, that's true for iPhone. Older devices don't get to install the newer applications. However, sometimes you can have a phone that's brand new, but it doesn't work with a certain app because the developer said it couldn't. Now let's take a look at the software solution for one-handed use. This is actually one of my favorite Android features. So if you swipe from the edge of the screen to the middle of the screen and swipe back, it opens up this one-handed software mode. This especially makes sense on larger devices like the Samsung Galaxy Note 4, where you can use your entire display with one finger. I also like how you can resize the window depending on the size of your finger. Now, Apple's take on this is kind of disgraceful. It's called reachability, and the only purpose of reachability is to reach a certain area of the screen, not actually use your device with one hand permanently. So Android's definitely got a clear advantage here. Now let's talk about some device specific features. On Android, here's multi-window mode, and this is absolutely amazing. So you choose one app to display on the bottom or the top, and then another one. As you can see, man, it's amazing. You can do one thing on top or on the bottom and be multitasking. You can change the size of the windows. You can do this with a jailbreak, however, it's just not available in stock iOS. Having the choice between just turning your device off or rebooting it is actually a really nice feature. I can't even imagine why Apple hasn't put this into iOS. Another is power saving, and this could potentially save your life. Ultra power saving mode puts your device into starvation mode. Just the bare necessities to get by are left enabled, and as you can see, it's quite incredible. You can keep your device in standby for a very long time, and it's certainly a feature I would like Apple to add in the future. It's just not available yet. Now, Apple does have a certain way to track battery usage, but nothing to enable a certain battery saving mode. Download Booster is actually a very nice feature as well. It enables both your LTE and Wi-Fi radios to download files even faster. That is really ingenious. I mean, why hasn't Apple thought of that? The nice thing about Android security is that it gives you several options when it comes to locking your device. Not only a fingerprint, password, a PIN, a pattern, a certain swipe, even your face, whereas the iPhone just has 3 options. So your fingerprint, a complex passcode, or a simple one. Another nice feature Android has is private mode and guest accounts. So not only can you hide certain aspects that you wouldn't want other people to see, you can enable guest mode where other people can create their own user accounts. The ability to actually browse and move files on your device is a very nice one. Apple, of course, is never going to add that feature, but it's definitely a plus on Android. Haptic feedback, which I can't really show you, I can only feel, is a nice touch to the keyboard, something I wish Apple would have too. Now, a nice thing to know when you own an Apple product is you're guaranteed a software update when every other device gets it, no matter what carrier. That's a major flaw of Android, is updates roll out very slow, especially depending on which model number you have, which carrier you have. It's just a mess. iMessage is one of my favorite reasons to use an iPhone, a platform where everybody has this messaging application that's built in, doesn't use any minutes, is extremely fast, and is very versatile. Now, while you can download and use Google apps on an iPhone, that's not true the other way around. There are many apps that are exclusive to an Apple product which you cannot get on Android. Handoff and iPhone exclusive features where you can pick up on your computer where you left off on your iPhone. Extremely awesome. And lastly, I just want to mention, yeah, Android has NFC, which you can touch 2 phones together and transfer files, whereas on an iPhone there's AirDrop, and AirDrop is really cool. It's a very seamless solution to transferring files between devices, including iPhones, iPads, even a computer, without needing to touch the devices together. Now, yes, there are a lot of features I didn't even cover in this video. I just wanted to get the bare experience of Android L or Lollipop versus iOS 8. Now, when it comes to choosing, I understand that's a very difficult choice to make, but what I showed you guys in this video, I do hope it helps you make an informed decision on choosing between iOS 8 or an Android device running Android Lollipop. Of course, there are many other features, like I did say, I haven't even mentioned because I just wanted to touch the fundamentals, the stuff you're guaranteed to use on all of these devices, and compare those. Now, if I could summarize each device up in a few words, the iPhone is locked, controlled, but efficient and simple, whereas Android is open and customizable, yet seemingly less user-friendly and not as great support. Now guys, hopefully watching this video, I did help you make up your mind about which OS is a little bit more geared towards your needs. Check out some of my other videos, and if you want to see the hardware comparison for the iPhone 6 versus the S5, you can do so there. And guys, no matter which OS you choose, don't let anyone tell you that you made the wrong choice. That's entirely up to you. So have a great day, guys. Peace.